Hi, I'm Towin, and today I'll be trying to beat a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Blue using only bad competitive Pokemon. Now, for context, there are different ways to play competitive Pokemon. One is VGC, which is one that you see on official tournaments. And then there's Smogon, which is unofficial. So based on that, I guess I should also explain the tiers. There's the standard OU or overused, which is the one that's mainly played. Below OU there's UU or underused, which has Pokemon that don't have a place in OU because they're not used enough. Then below that there's NU or never used, below that there's PU or poorly used, and below that there's CU or zero used, which is the one that I'll be using for this video. On screen there's the Pokemon that I'll be allowed to use based on the viability rankings that were made at the time of recording. So there might be some changes, like for example Arbok was banned by the time I'm writing this script. But that one doesn't change anything since it's a version exclusive of Red and I'm playing Blue. The main thing here is that all of them weren't good enough to be officially on the tiers above, which in my opinion makes them pretty bad. Now if you think that one of them doesn't belong here, like I don't know, Sandslash, Abra, Charmeleon, or Hitmonlee, you have to remember that 1. This list takes into account all 151 Pokemon. 2. The tiers above only make like the top 14 Pokemon officially part of the tier. And 3. That this is Gen 1, so some typings are really bad, like the fighting types, the bug types, or the poison types, while some of them are really good, like the psychic types, the water types, or the normal types. But enough rambling, let's get to the rules. The rules for the challenge are simple. I can only catch the first encounter on every route that's legal on CU. If a Pokemon faints or evolves into one that I'm not supposed to use, I have to release it. No overleveling past the next rival, gym, or Elite Four fights. I have to nickname every Pokemon, no items during battle, and finally, game mode on set. With that out of the way, let's start the run. Also, I streamed this challenge on YouTube, so if you want to watch the full run, there's a playlist with all of the streams. The first attempt went awful, with me losing at least one Pokemon every hour, so I decided to just restart after having lost 8 Pokemon and only getting 4 badges. Attempt 2 went somehow even worse, with me losing both Rattata and PG before the first gym, so I also decided to restart. Which brings us to attempt 3. I chose Squirtle as my starter and named him Caesar. I picked him because I think that having a strong water type is going to help a lot in the long run, with him being the only water type that's allowed to evolve. Charmeleon and Ivysaur aren't bad per se, but I'm guaranteed a Flareon and a Weeping Bell, so I think I'm covered for their typing. Continuing with the game, I catch a Rattata on Route 22 that I named Ragnarok. He doesn't evolve, so he's only useful in the early game. A Pidgey on Route 1 that I named Typhone. He's able to evolve into Pidgeot, so he's definitely a keeper even though his coverage is awful. A Caterpie on Route 2 that I named Lilith. He gets some decent coverage alongside Sleep Powder when he evolves into Butterfree, so he might make it onto the final team. And finally, a Pikachu on Viridian Forest that I named Edison. He doesn't evolve, but a fast electric type is always appreciated. And here's where I make a really stupid mistake. Wanting to test my team, I decide to fight the trainer inside the gym, without even getting to the level cap, and with just Bubble on Squirtle. His level 11 Diglett almost KOs my Squirtle, which left me in a difficult position for his Sandshrew. So I swap into Metapod to use Strength Shot since all of my other Pokemon are like level 3, and I managed to hit a few. So I switch to Pidgey, but I only hit one Gust before he brings me to only 1 HP. I go back to Metapod, but I get hit and brought to the red. So I decide to send Rattata and he unfortunately gets O-Code. This at least gives me a safe switch into Squirtle and I hit a bubble that brings him to half. I hit another one that brings him to a sliver and he hits a scratch for another KO. I sent Pidgey back and thankfully Gust was enough to defeat him. This fight made me realize that I need to be more careful against regular trainers. Even if I have the type advantage, I can't just assume that I'm going to win, especially if I don't have a backup plan. I was thinking of restarting again because of losing my starter, but then I thought that I still get more water types that can replace Squirtle, and it's not like I was going to use Rattata that much. So I might as well just continue and see how far I can make it. so I get everyone to the level cap of 14 and try Brock. And thanks to getting Confusion on Butterfree, it was way easier than I expected. Maybe losing Squirtle wasn't that bad. Going to Mount Moon, I get a couple more encounters. I get the gift Magikarp that I named Pandora. He's only going to be fodder since he can't evolve. I get a Spearow on Route 3 that I named Griffon, also fodder since he also can't evolve. I get a Geodude on Mount Moon that I named Newton. He also cannot evolve, but I might get some use out of the rock and ground typing. And I get a Sandshrew on Route 4 that I named Kepler. And this last one is one of the strongest encounters. He can evolve into Sandslash, get stick by level up, a slash that always crits, and both Rock Slide and Hyper Beam via TM. And remember that in this game, Hyper Beam doesn't need to recharge if it KOs the opponent's Pokemon. He's also decently fast and has really good attacks, so he's definitely going to be on the final team. Rival Fight. I sent Pikachu against his Pidgeotto, and while I managed to both get him to half with Thunder Shock and paralyze him, his Gust does a lot of damage. Thankfully, he gets fully paralyzed in its turn, so with another Thunder Shock and a Quick Attack, he goes down. Next is Abra, and I decide to stay for his next Pokemon since Pikachu still has some HP left. Third is Rattata, and I use Thunder Wave immediately to gain the speed advantage in case anything happens. He then got fully paralyzed and used Tail Whip while I hit a Thunder Shock. So seeing as he couldn't do much, I decided to switch to Butterfree in preparation for Bulbasaur and KO Rattata. Last is Blue's Bulbasaur, and 3 Confusions were enough to defeat him. Now that the rival was defeated, I can go through Nugget Bridge and get 2 more encounters. On Route 25, I get an Abra that I named Copernicus. He only gets Psychic as a special move via TM, so maybe I'll use him, maybe not. And on Route 24, I get a Bellsprout that I named Tail. He gets both a Razor Leaf that always crits and Sleep Powder, which by themselves are really good, but I can also evolve him into Whipping Bell, so might be a member for the final team. I challenged Misty after leveling up everyone up to the level cap, and the fight was really easy. For starters, Pikachu defeated Staryu without much problem. As for when Starmie came out, I go for Thunder Wave to paralyze her while she goes for an Edge Defend. My Thunder Shock then got her to half thanks to a crit, but Bubble Beam almost KOs Pikachu. Not willing to risk losing another Pokemon, I switched to Whipping Bell. And seeing as she was paralyzed, I just used Wrap to finish the fight. See, unlike the newer generations where trapping moves are basically useless, in Gen 1 they make the opponent unable to attack until they are freed. So combining that with the paralysis, which guarantees that I outspeed, it makes it a bit broken. This is the only time that I'm going to use this move since Whipping Bell isn't that fast and it relies on landing an 85% accurate move, but I wanted to use it at least once just to show how it works. After the fight, I go to the Rocket's Grunt Battle. I mention it because he gives me the TM for Dig, which I immediately teach to Sandshrew. It's 100 base power in this game, so combining that with the same type attack bonus, it's going to destroy Lieutenant Surge. I also go to Route 5 to get a Meowth that I named Schrodinger. He has really good speed and gets Bubble Beam via TM, but I don't think he's going to be that good in the late game. Moving to Route 11, I get another Spearow, which, yes, I know that I already have one, but this one is going to be used for the trait Farfetch. I'm already planning to use Pidgeot for the Elite Four, but if anything happens to him, it's a decent alternative with Sword Stance, Agility, Slash, and Fly. And finally, I get a Diglett on Diglett's Cave that I named Baphomet. I don't think I'm going to use him that much since the only thing he has going for him are his speed and access to Dig via level up. I don't even think it's a good replacement for Sandslash. Rival Fight. Again, I start once again with Pikachu and he's able to two-shot his Pidgeotto. Next is Raticate and I use Thunder Wave while he gets fully paralyzed, so I take the chance and switch to Pidgeotto. He only manages to hit a Quick Attack, which, although it was a crit, it didn't do that much damage, so I easily knock him out. Third is Kadabra, and thanks to his poor physical defense and him only using teleports, it was another easy KO. Last is Ivysaur, and he only went for Growl and Tackle, so with a couple of quick attacks, I defeated him. Next on the list is Lieutenant Surge, and like I said when I talked to Sandshrew, who is now a Sandslash, he destroyed him. Every single one of his Pokemon was a one-shot. Moving on. Afterwards is the way through Rock Tunnel. Before that, I catch a Voltorb on Route 10 that I named Tesla. He only gets electric moves via TM, so I'll probably only use him for self-destruct. I also get a Machoban Rock Tunnel that I named Ogre. Later on, I'm going to get a guaranteed Hitmonlee, so I don't know how much I'm going to use him. Still, he can evolve into Machoke, so at least there's that. But going back to Rock Tunnel, it was really tricky to get through. This is because I leveled up everyone to 24, and the next level cap is the rival fight on Lavender Tower, which is 25. So if any of my team members went over that level, I wouldn't be able to use them until I defeated Blue. On the way, Farfetch went over and Sandslash got really close. So midway, I switched them for Meowth and Diglett, which I don't really care if I overlevel or lose them. After finally getting out and managing not to lose anyone, I accidentally run into a trainer. And because my team is in a weakened state, I am forced to overlevel both Butterfree and Weeping Bell. So that's 3 Pokemon that I cannot use for the rival fight. Reworking my team, I go and challenge Blue. Like usual, I start with Pikachu, but this time 2 Thunder Shocks weren't enough. Not only that, but Pidgeotto's Quick Attack was doing a lot of damage. Thankfully, I also had Quick Attacks, so I could at least knock him out. Second is Gyarados, and I wasn't sure if Pikachu could handle him, even though electric moves are 4 times super effective. I really didn't want to risk it, however, I didn't have anything that could safely switch in. So I just go for the attack, and it did half while his Hydro Pump defeats Pikachu. I sent Meowth since it was my most expendable Pokemon, and he misses both Dragon Rage and Leer while I KO him with Bite. Wish he missed those moves on Pikachu. Third is Growlithe, and before the fight, I taught Meowth Bubble Beam, so he got an easy 2-shot. Fourth is Kadabra, and once more, because of his poor defenses and poor move choices, he was a 2-shot. So last is Ivysaur, and he didn't really do much. He only managed to land a Leech Seed on the last turn, but by that time, Bite was going to defeat him. The fight went better than I thought, but losing Pikachu is a shame, since the electric coverage was really nice. My only other electric type is Voltorb, and the only electric move he gets is Thunderbolt with the TM. I think I'll just wait for Magnemite, which I can get after I beat Koga. Going to Celadon, there's more Pokemon to catch. I first get a Vulpix on Route 8 that I name Leonidas. Don't really see myself using him. Second, I get the gift Eevee that I name Genghis. I only have one option to evolve him, which is Flareon, so maybe I can use him. And finally, I get a Doduo on Route 16 that I name Conquistador. He gets Drill Peck by level up, but his stats compared to Pidgeot are way worse. So I don't think I could get much use out of him before he faints to a single attack. Now if I go to the right of where I got Doduo, I can get the HM for Fly. Because of a bug in the game, both Dig and Fly are banned from competitive use, which makes flying types like Pidgeot and Golbat that don't have any other useful flying move a lot worse than they already are. But I didn't ban them, so I can use them freely to make Pidgeot finally have a good stab move. I also go back to Celadon to get the Firestone to evolve Eevee into Flareon. Unfortunately, he doesn't get a fire move until Ember at 31. And the only fire-type TM that you get is Fire Blast, which you get after playing, so he's not going to contribute that much for the Erika battle. Speaking of, Erika battle, I live with Pidgeotto and it starts amazingly with me accidentally forgetting to level everyone up, going for Gust instead of Fly, and her Victreebel poisoning me. She then starts using Wrap, and combined with the poison, I was unable to do any damage before I needed to switch out. I go into Farfetch, and thanks to her missing the first poison powder, I was able to get some damage with Fly. But she landed the second one and started using Wrap again, forcing me to switch out once more. I go into Weeping Bell, and she went for poison powder, even though I'm immune to it. And that's when it hit me. She thinks I'm a pure grass type, so while she kept going for poison powder, I KO'd her with Cut. After that, it's just a couple of minutes of me putting Tangela to sleep, setting up growths to raise my special, and then KOing her with Vine Whip. I don't think you need a move-by-move replay of that. Last is Vileplume, and once again, she just spams Poison Powder. She double resists Vine Whip, so I switched to Cuts for the KO. Thank God I realized that Weeping Bell was the perfect counter for Erika, because I think I would have lost otherwise. That was where I ended the stream, so for the next one, I decided to change a bunch of money for coins to get some TMs for Hyper Beam. Like I said previously, in this game, it doesn't need to recharge if it KOs the opponent. So I teach it to everyone as a nuke move that can deal massive damage and possibly knock out an opponent. The fight against Giovanni after that was really easy. But more importantly, I make a mistake during one of the fights against the Rocket Grunt and lose Meow. He wasn't going to make it to the final team, but he had good coverage with Bubble Beam and eventually easy crits with Slash. So it's a bit of a shame to lose him like that. To replace him, I decided to add back Butterfree to the team and give him both the Psychic TM and Hyper Beam. I also challenged the Karate Dojo and decided to get Hitmonlee that I named Arthur. Fighting types are really bad in Gen 1, with bad coverage, bad special, being weak to Psychic, and most of them having their best move be Submission. But among the fighting types I have access to, Hitmonlee is definitely the best. As for other encounters, I go back to Pokemon Tower and in the higher floors I catch a Cubone that I named Siegfried. It's worse in almost every way to Sandslash, but if anything happens to him, I have a decent replacement since I can evolve it into Marowak. Finally, I go to the Safari Zone and find a Parasect, but unfortunately it runs away. Rival fight. I send Geodude against his Pidgeot and I take him out with 2 rock throws. Second is Gyarados and I switch to Weeping Bell as he goes for Leer. I start using Razor Leaf hoping that it would be enough, but with him being faster and using both Dragon Rage and Bite to leave me close to the red, I'm forced to swap. I go into Hitmonlee, getting hit by a Dragon Rage in the process, and a double kick knock him out. Third is Growlithe, and I just send Geodude back on the field to get an easy OHKO with Earthquake. Fourth is Alakazam, and I thought that I could survive a hit from him, but a single confusion defeated Geodude. I sent Sandslash hoping to outspeed, but he's faster, attacks with Psybeam, crits, and almost OHKOs me. Thankfully, my dig was a one-shot because losing Sandslash would have been devastating. Last is Venusaur, and I swap to the newly evolved Pidgeot, who with a couple of flies is able to defeat him. Once again, the Giovanni fight after was incredibly easy. This time thanks to Weeping Bell just sweeping his entire team. The same thing happened with Koga, sweeping his entire team with Sandslash. I got caught by surprise at the end of the battle with Weezing using Self-Destruct to do a lot of damage, but that was it. Next on the list is Sabrina. Kadabra gets one-shot by a Crit Bite from Flareon, Mr. Mime gets one-shot by a Hyper Beam, Venomoth gets two-shot by the new Ember, so last is Alakazam. I swap to Butterfree and she sets up a Reflect. This is going to be important later. Alakazam then crits and almost one-shots Butterfree while I put her to sleep. I switch to Sandslash and try to hit Hyper Beam, but miss the first one. I hit the second one as she wakes up, but it only does half, while her Psybeam also does half. Since I'm at low HP and need to recharge, I'm forced to swap. I go into Pidgeot and Psybeam does like a third. I go for Quick Attack to outspeed and I get a crit to defeat Sabrina's Alakazam. If that Quick Attack didn't crit, I would have been in so much trouble, because she could have either healed with Recover or gotten a crit to defeat Pidgeot. With Siege Badges acquired, I decide to go on a hunt for some of the encounters that I have left. I get the Super Rod and fish for a Tentacle that I name Laplace on Route 12. It's really frail, but it has a good special stat, so with things like Ice Beam and Surf, it could become a useful member on the final team. On the Pokemon Mansion, I get a Ponyta that I named Chevalier. I was hoping to get either Koffing or Grimer since I can evolve them, and I already have Flareon, so this is literally the worst encounter I could have gotten. Anyways, before challenging Blaine, I level up everyone as usual, but I make a mistake and accidentally evolve Tentacle into Tentacruel. Since it's not a Pokemon that I'm allowed to use, I basically lost a Pokemon. No matter, I still have the fossil for Kabuto, so I revive it, name it Noah, and level it up, only to make the same mistake again. Since my only other options for water types are Pokemon like Poliwag, Horsea, or Psyduck, I decided to just give up on getting a water type and move on with the challenge. Funny thing is, I think I struggled more while trying not to evolve my Pokemon that I wasn't supposed to than fighting against Blaine, because every one of his Pokemon was a one-shot with Sandslash Dig. The final gym is the ground type, and before that I catch a Poliwag that I named Swirl on Viridian City. Not because I'm going to use it, but because I need someone that can use Surf. This is so that I can get my real next encounter, which is a Magnemite that I named Maxwell on the power plant. He only gets normal and electric moves, and he doesn't have the steel typing yet. But I still feel like just having a Pokemon with Staff Thunderbolt is going to help against the Elite Four, especially since it's one of the few fully evolved Pokemon I can get. Last gym is Giovanni, and to no one's surprise, it was a complete sweep. However, the one who did it was Marowak. He got Boomerang, which is a 2-hit move that has a base power of 50 and is 90% accurate. So what I'm saying is that it's worse than Earthquake. But I thought it was cool, so I went with him, and with a combination of Boomerang and Hyper Beam, she one-shot almost every Pokemon on Giovanni's team. With all the badges acquired, all that's left is fighting the rival. First is Pidgeot, and I send the new Magneton, who got a one-shot with Thunderbolt. Second is Rhyhorn, so I swap to Weeping Bell, who got a one-shot with Razor Leaf. Third is Gyarados, and I go back to Magneton as I get hit by a Dragon Rage for a bit of damage. Next turn, he went down to a single Thunderbolt. Fourth is Growlithe, and I swap to Sandslash to get a one-shot with Dig, and fifth is Alakazam. I decided to stay and go for Dig, but he used Reflect once more, so my attack wasn't able to OHKO him. He then went for Psychic to do massive damage, but thankfully it wasn't a crit, so another attack defeated him. Last on his team is Venusaur, and I switched to Pidgeot, who got a 2-shot with Fly. Now that I'm done with that, all that's left is a League. I get one more encounter on Victory Road, and it was an Onix, but I forgot and ran away from it. It doesn't matter, not like I was going to use it. But anyways, in preparation for the Elite Four, I go get a few TMs, some power-up points, and some power point restoring items. As for the final team, it's Arthur the Hitmonlee with Strength, Body Slam, High Jump Kick, and Jump Kick, Typhon the Pidgeot with Fly, Double Edge, Quick Attack, and Hyper Beam, Maxwell the Magneton with Thunderbolt, Swift, Thunder Wave, and Hyper Beam, Tail the Weeping Bell with Razor Leaf, Acid, Cut, and Sleep Powder, Kepler the Sandslash with Strength, Earthquake, Rock Slide, and Hyper Beam, and Lilith the Butterfree with Psychic, Hyper Beam, Mega Drain, and Sleep Powder. Let's see if I can beat the league. First member of the Elite Four is Lorelei. I lead with Hitmonlee against her Dugong, and High Jump Kick is a one-shot. Second is Cloyster, and I switch to Magneton to get a one-shot with Thunderbolt. Third is Slowbro, and since I know it likes to go for Amnesia against Pokemon weak to Psychic, I swap to Hitmonlee again to spam Body Slam until it went down. Fourth is Jinx, and a crit Body Slam got a one-shot. Last on her team is Lapras, and my High Jump Kick missed while Hitmonlee got paralyzed by her Body Slam. Even though I wouldn't survive a crit Body Slam, I decided to stay since I wasn't going to get much out of Hitmonlee outside of this fight. She misses a Hydro Pump that definitely would have KO'd me, and High Jump Kick connects, getting her to a sliver of HP. I thought she was going to heal, so for some reason I go into Pidgeot. I really don't remember why. And not only does she not heal, but she goes for Blizzard and misses. So after a quick attack, Lorelei gets defeated. I played way too risky there. Let's try and not make more mistakes. Second Elite Four member is Bruno, and this fight was pretty straightforward. Use Weeping Bell for the Onixes and Pidgeot for the fighting types. I probably should have used Butterfree since they have more physical defense than special, but I still won, so it doesn't matter. Third member of the Elite Four is Agatha. I sent Butterfree against her first Gengar, and she confuses me and puts me to sleep while I couldn't do anything. She switches to Golbat, and as I wake up, she lands a wing attack to bring Butterfree to half. I decide to switch to Magneton to get a better matchup, and while I do get confused and hit myself once, a single Thunderbolt defeats her. Gengar is out again, and her Nightshade brings Magneton to half while I paralyze her. I swap to Pidgeot while she hits a Nightshade, set damage moves ignore immunities by the way, and she switches to Hunter, who falls to a Fly. Gengar comes out again for the third time, and after getting hit by a Nightshade, 2 Flies knock her out. Fourth is Arbok, and with Pidgeot on low HP, I decide to send Sandslash with his defense reduced by Screech. But it didn't matter as a single Earthquake defeated her. Last is the second Gengar, and while she went for Dream Eater, even though I was awake, another Earthquake won me the fight. Last member of the Elite Four is Lance. His Gyarados scares me by using Hyper Beam right off the bat, but Magneton survives and hits back with a Thunderbolt for a one-shot. Lance sends his first Dragonair, and I decide to paralyze it before switching to Sandslash, who gets hit by a Hyper Beam that doesn't do much. Next turn, I OHKO him with an Earthquake. His second Dragonair comes out, and Earthquake is another one-shot. So fourth is Aerodactyl, and he missed both of his attacks. So with Rock Slide, it was a two-shot. Last is Dragonite, and like Slowbro and Lorelei, he likes spamming a Psychic move against Pokemon weak to that typing, even though it's a move that doesn't do damage. So with Hitmonlee and Body Slam, it was an easy win. Finally is the champion, Blue. Like on the previous rival fight, I lead with Magneton against his Pidgeot and OHKO him with Thunderbolt. Second is Alakazam, and Sidewave does a beat while I paralyze him. I then use Swift to get him close to half, and he gets fully paralyzed. I was hoping to get a KO with Hyper Beam, but it missed and he set up a Reflect. I decided to go again for Swift since I knew Hyper Beam wasn't going to be able to defeat him anymore, but the attack critted for a knockout. Third is Rhydon, and I swapped Weeping Bell, who only gets hit by a weak Fury attack while I OHKO him with Razor Leaf. Fourth is Gyarados, and I go into Magneton, but get hit by a Hydro Pump that leaves him on a third of HP. I know Magneton is slower, so I don't risk it and go into Butterfree, who avoids the second Hydro Pump. I put him to sleep and I start spamming Psychic, which thankfully was enough to defeat him. Fifth is Arcanine, and I switch to Sandslash, who gets hit by both Takedown and Ember, but manages to defeat him with an Earthquake. Last is Venusaur, and while going back into Butterfree, he sets up a Growth to raise his special. Since my Psychic is probably not going to do that much anymore, I decide to put him to sleep and go into Pidgeot, who with a critical hit Fly is able to win the fight. That went pretty well for my first time doing a Nuzlocke. I now get why people say that Gen 1 is way too easy, because no way I would have done as well in other generations, which is exactly what happened when I tried the same challenge on Gen 2, losing really badly against some trainers before the Ice Gym. Right now I put that challenge on hold because 1. I wasn't having fun, 2. It's way more difficult, and 3. I think I need more experience on Nuzlockes before trying again. As for the next video, I said it on the previous one, but I'm doing Pokemon Fire Red with only Bug-type moves. The Blue Eyes video was supposed to come out on April, and the one after that was supposed to be this one, so I got a bit behind on my schedule. But I promise that my next video is going to be the bug moves only. If you want to see more of my content, you can watch the playlist on the left that has all of my streams about this challenge. Or, you can watch the video that's recommended to you on the right. Anyways, that's all I have for now. See ya!